everyone. Welcome to the Mercedes Lucke Benedict show. I'm Mercedes, and I have got a returning guest, filmmaker extraordinaire. He's many things, but he was here with us a couple of weeks ago, and we had such a great time that I really wanted him to come back. And this is Mr. Derek Young. How are you, Derek?
What's happening?
What's happening?
Yeah,
Well, I'm having a good day. I had some good news about an hour ago that's like made my Mother's Day, which is, I didn't even know Mother's Day was coming up this weekend. But so I'm not going to say what the good news, but it was really good news about a family member. So I'm feeling very positive. So you're gonna benefit from this positive vibe coming to you.
well, that's always the greatest thing in the world is being able to have a positive vibe when you go into something because it
Exactly.
normally ends good. It doesn't normally come out bad when you got that. So we're gonna have a little bit
Exactly.
of fun.
Well, last time we were talking, we covered a lot of topics, but there were so many more topics to talk about. And I will tell you one thing. I started looking up the Toxic Avenger and the Toxic Tutu, and I remember
That's
the
a crazy
Toxic.
ride.
I really remember people talking about the Toxic Avenger. And so when I told my a family member after we had our conversation last time, I was telling him all about it. So I think they watched our show. But he loves all that stuff you're doing, and he loves the horror movies and all the people you mentioned. He knows or loves those people. So it's really great. So could you talk a little bit about well, let's just say, what would you like to talk about? Do you want to start in talking about the Toxic Avenger, or do you want to something like that? Does that sound like fun?
Actually, let's start on something else just because I caught the back end of what you were talking about before I walked in.
Okay.
Before you brought me in, I caught the back end of your conversation, and I wanted to bring up something because I want to bring it up to everybody out there. All right,
Okay.
especially people that are our age. Right, our parents didn't believe in something could be wrong if we seemed completely normal in most aspects. So they did not pay attention to any warning signs, didn't know them, didn't understand them, would never take us to go find out anything. You know, we were that generation where, hey, we drank out of a water hose and ran till the lights came on. So
Right.
parents were working, and pretty much we raised ourselves. Um,
You're right.
it-
My mom did was the only one that. Oh, yeah. My mom was the main one of the family, and she was working all the time.
yeah,
Yeah.
so we, other than those moments when they did what they had to as parents, which was transport us to where we needed to be at. Um, if it was somewhere too far off, then they really didn't pay much attention to anything. So I'm wanting to talk about that for a reason because
Okay.
you're going to hear me talk a lot, and you're going to hear all this stuff that I know and how I come out. You're going to look at me and be like, "Hey, look, this dude's just some regular Joe. Nothing's wrong with this guy, right?" But
Right.
but but um
But
but I actually have ADHD, I'm OCD, and I have Asperger's.
yeah. Okay. I remember you saying that last week.
Well, I didn't find out I had Asperger's for 3 years ago.
Oh my God.
And there's no way to actually test adults. The only thing they can like figure out is you sit down with the psychiatrist and go over everything with them that
Yeah.
you might notice that it might take have taken a long time for you to notice. Like I spaz out very easily over certain things, right?
Yeah.
And I explained all that stuff, and then that's when my psychiatrist was like, "Well, hey, look, I think you have that. You're on the smaller side of the spectrum, but you have this, all right." So I'm like, "Well, hey, that explains a lot, all
Yeah.
right." Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because People don't realize that there are people with autism that seem completely normal. So they don't know how to handle them at all. Because it's like,
Right.
what is wrong with you? Because it doesn't seem like anything's wrong with you, you know? Um, but that being said, doing the pro wrestling stuff, the other weekend I did a show where there was a kid. There's some people you can look at them and tell they're on the spectrum. And the kid came over, and that's another thing that I love about what I do. Like, you can do something for people in their lives. So he come
Yeah.
over, and I went ahead and grabbed a photo and signed it and said, "Here, man, this is for you. I'm just gonna give it to you." Um, and then he asked his mom to take a picture with me. And then while he was taking the picture, I had my arm around him, and I'm like, "Hey, man, look, you know, you can't tell when you look at me, but I'm on the spectrum too. I have Asperger's. So I want you to understand something. Never let anybody tell you you can't accomplish your dreams because of being autistic. It's going to take more work. It's going to
Yeah.
take more work. It's going to be harder. You got to have more passion to do it. But you can see me. I'm accomplishing my dreams. So you can too. Right.
Yeah.
And there's just so many different things with that. Like, so many people don't understand that people who may be autistic or whatever else, hey, I'm going to guarantee you something right now. They're probably smarter than you.
Oh yeah.
So you should not treat them like they're an idiot,
Yes.
right? They may not be able to communicate back to you on the level that you are. Some of them can, right? But they completely understand. And when you're sitting there talking to them like they're slow, you're really hurting their feelings, man, because they understand what you're saying at the speed you're saying it. Just freaking talk to them. Treat
Yeah.
them like a regular adult. So on that aspect, I had to say that because I wanted to make sure that the person you were talking about, you get to show them this, because I want them to understand. Yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, people might make fun of you. Yes, you might have problems. But guess what? They don't define you. So you need to put your boots down, strap them up, and walk and do what you do. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to make sure to say that starting off with everything, because I wanted that vibe out there to help raise other people up. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you so much. That really means a lot. I didn't even know you were listening. I didn't know you could hear that. So
Oh,
that really,
I caught the last sentence, and that's all I
oh,
needed.
well, it that's important that you did that, because there are a lot of people that, and then they're so incredibly intelligent, and they're so, they just got some things just are different, so it's, I really appreciate you saying that. And it does matter, because if somebody has a dream, you don't want that to stop you. You can rise above that and move forward and accomplish all the things you want in your life, I think.
Yeah, I mean, some people with autism that are farther on the spectrum, where they don't talk or they seem like they're still in a child state, regardless of how old they are. If you take the time to show them stuff, you will find out they can learn it. And not only can they learn it, they can probably figure out how to do it better than you.
Yeah.
And you just got to give them the opportunity.
Yeah.
So for everybody out there that may catch a hold of this or whatever, all right, don't let anything stop you. I haven't. So I know
So
you
when
can.
you were diagnosed just 3 years ago?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's very, it's just interesting. Like, that's,
And the reason why it took so long, right? It's because, like I said, parents didn't do anything with that, right? So
yeah.
then I'm just living my life, not realizing anything, not thinking about nothing, not worrying about nothing, and then end up getting married, having kids, and then after get married, it's like, what's wrong with you? After, spend some time, like, what's wrong with you? Like, whatever. So then I go find out I got ADHD, got full blown depression and stuff and anxiety and everything else. And I'm like, well, here you go. All right. But I didn't open up enough for them to find out everything to be able to tell me this. And it finally got to a point after me and my wife separated and all this other stuff where I was living on my own and I was by myself and I was trying to just conversate with people I knew and I was aggravating people and I was looking at everything. And then it took me sitting back, like, thinking, like, what is wrong? Why are you like this? What are you doing? And then after processing that, going to my therapist and being like, look, I haven't actually opened up with you exactly how I am. And I want to break it down to you because I want to know what's really going on. And that's the only way anything got found out. Like, if I hadn't have done that and 100% told them exactly where I'm sitting with stuff, I'd never been told anything. I'd have never known nothing. I'd still to this day be clueless on what was wrong with me.
Wow. And did that, once you found that out, did your life kind of fit back together again?
It's made it a whole lot easier
Yeah.
because I understand. So since I
Yeah.
understand, I'm more aware of what I'm doing. So I try to let people know in advance, hey, look, this is how I am. I'm trying to be better with this stuff. But if I can't do it, I'm sorry. Like, don't hold it against me. And sometimes it makes people just be like, hey, peace, can't deal with that. Well, that means you don't need to be around me. So I'm not worried about it.
Right.
And that's like Greg Russell Titterington, who's been a part of almost every movie I've made. The only one he missed out on was the first one. All right. Um, I became friends with him because of making that one. He actually has Asperger's too. And that was one of the other things that kind of, you know, set things in with me because the while I was alone, the more I talked to him and the more I looked at the way he was,
Hmm.
I noticed so many similarities between me and him. So that was one of the things that opened up with me. But he's a phenomenal actor and a great friend, and you know, sometimes he's a little further on the spectrum than I am, and sometimes people just really can't handle him, and um, that's their own fault because he's an amazing guy. He'd take his shirt off his back for anybody, and they really should have more patience with him. There's a lot of times, that people are like, "Hey, man, I'm getting a little aggravated here," and I'm like, "Hey, man, okay, just let him know. He don't know if he's doing something if you don't tell him. Just explain it. And
Right.
but like I said, he's phenomenal, man. Like he lives in Canada, so for him to be a part of my projects, he has to find somebody that'll film it, set up dates, set up stuff. Then they got to film it and send it to me. And he's never failed, which is why I'm kind of like building this character with him to where he's opening and ending every movie that I touch now, and
Wow.
kind of making him like kind of like the crypt keeper, where he's introducing and exiting out of the projects and giving you these little um, rhyming anecdotes to get you started with the film and make your mind start thinking, you know, and
Yeah.
he nails it every time. And I absolutely love the dude. He's amazing.
That's
So
awesome. And I
it,
love that. I love that idea about them. It's really old school. It's kind of like the way you have him in that role, to where it'll be a reoccurring, it happens. It's like really classic. It's a great idea.
Yeah, well, see that's the thing. Like, really, like that's one of the things people loved back in the day was getting to see those little openers, those little enders, and they'll go back and watch those more than the movie because
Yeah.
they like how it was done.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to create something for Greg that no matter what movie I touch, I can get him to do it. Because a lot of times you make a movie and you can't have footage from somewhere off and it not match and it, because it's set in one location or whatever, and you
Right.
only have a small cast, so it doesn't really work out. But if I have this, I can put him with every movie, and he
Yeah.
can make this character that years from now when he's gone, people might remember him for, you know. So and he does a phenomenal job with it. I mean, he comes across as completely psychotic, like he's lost his mind, and it's just great. And he nails the lines the way they need to be every single time. So I absolutely love him for that.
That's so great. You're so, it's what I just love about you, that you really like care about every detail that you're doing. And that, that's the blessing about the, autism, OCD, all of these things. It's really about details, 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 isn't it? And really having, finding, it's like very passionate and fun and focused. So really, there's so many blessings, and you're also very intuitive. So intuitiveness and that empathy, all of those things, I think are part of what we were talking about with that spectrum.
Yeah,
And you
well,
probably have that.
it's like I get attached to people really easily too. So like it's like very hard for me to not care about everybody I meet. And I'm naive, so it's not hard for somebody to take advantage of me either, you know. But that's probably the reason why the people that are still locked in around me, a lot of the people I've worked with have left because it takes me longer to get stuff done than some people. It's
Yeah.
you know, and people just don't want to be around how I am and that stuff. So I've lost a lot of people that I still love. Right, I love all of them. Like there's this dysfunctional film family I've made. There's the people that hate me, the people that don't want to ever work with me again, the people that are upset with me about one thing or another, and then there's the people that love me back, right? And want to work with me and want to be there, and all of them are a pivotal point of every project. So I'm going to love everybody until I die. But for the people that still come together, every time we get together, it's like a family reunion. So it's great to be able to do those type of things and build that because it's memories that every single one of them are going to have with each other from here on out. That if I wasn't doing this and wasn't bringing everybody together, it would never have happened. Um, and it's kind of funny because this film world seems so big, but like literally you can see it's also so small, right? Because one of the actresses from the Wright family, who had never met one of the actresses from Sweet 18, recently ended up playing the actress from Sweet 18's mom in another project. So
Hmm.
now they've met and came together, and both of them are going to be down for the event. So then they're going to get to see each other again. So now, aside of the film family that hasn't met is meeting, and we're getting ready to grow even more.
Oh,
So
that's
it's
so
awesome.
great. That is so great. And you know what? It does sound like what you do is you do create a family. Isn't that life? Like people, there are people that don't like me. There are people that love me. There are people that, it's just, there's just people that, just the way they are. But the ones that do love us, they really do, So I understand what you're saying. And I
Yeah,
think that,
I
yeah,
went through a rough spot not too long ago, and if it wasn't for all of them, you know, I, it would have been a heck of a lot worse. So it once they realized I was in that spot, it was a everyday, hey, are you okay? Are you doing all right? You don't need to go back down that hole. You don't need to get into that deep depression again, because if you do, we're not going to have these projects done. And they pulled me back out fast
yeah.
enough that I was just able to get my head back straight and go. So, it's it's great to have that.
So do you think that sometimes the subject matter that you're dealing with might have, might some of those might kind of creep in because we are talking about like some scary stuff. Do you ever think that some of that tries to, and plus you believe in God, so there's always the battle. There's always the battle going on. Do you ever think that might be it too, or
I don't really want to say that, because a lot of the stuff that I incorporate in the movies is the way for me to get out some of the pain and some of the anguish that I've been through.
right?
Right? That's like Psychotic State. When I made it, literally, I looked back at how bullied I was through school and at work, and how people just use me and take advantage of me, and people would beat on me. And, you know, I took it at and I was looking at it and I was like, what if I had a character that was bullied, and I made this character showcase one side of what could happen, and then I build a little thing that could talk about some of the other stuff that could happen, so just so people could see it, and then make sure to put out a public service announcement awareness around it.
Yeah.
What would that be like?
Hmm.
And I had this project that I haven't got to do yet, Josie. Um, and I feel really bad for that one, because David Hess, um, who's a phenomenal actor, and he actually helped Elvis Presley become famous. He was meant because he all of the like kind of folk songs that Elvis did. David was he originally recorded a lot of
Wow.
and he worked with Elvis when Elvis did, he allowed him to do it, and then he gave him his opinions on things and stuff like that. And a lot of the songs that he used that David recorded are what skyrocketed him into fame. So he was mentoring me at the time, and I was doing this script so that I could do what he wanted. And he told me he wanted to be a different kind of character than he's ever been. And he passed away while I was trying to see if I could get the movie off of the ground and get the money I needed. And I had did an Indiegogo campaign, and the people, I'm still going to do the movie, but it's going to be a long time before the people that donated get to see it come out, which really sucks, because I got to get a lot of money to do it. And the reason why is because I took the money that they donated, and they don't realize what I did with it. They think I used it to make Psychotic State instead of making Josie, which I didn't do. I literally took I literally took every penny of what I did raise, and I paid Alex Vincent, who played Andy in Child's Play, to rewrite the script, because I had talked to David's son, and David's son was like, look, I don't want to play the character the way Dad wanted to play it. I want to play it the way people would have wanted to see Dad play it, so I could show them that I could live up to filling his shoes in the film world. So I paid Alex to completely rewrite it. Thing is, when I paid him to rewrite it, I was like, look, do what you see with what you already have. And then he gave me a script that I'd need almost $1 million to make the movie. So until I make it, that movie can't get made. You know, but the minute that I can get my name to where I can get people to say, hey, I'll give you $1 million to make this because I know it's going to be good and I know it's going to make money, which I'm hoping is going to be very soon, considering I'm releasing so many films that they're going to see my name pop up a lot here soon, right?
Dang.
So I'm putting the vibe out there that hopefully within the next 2 years, I'm going to be right there so that I can finally make Josie and make everybody that donated that campaign happy, because that has weighed on me so much over the years that people feel like I took advantage of them or lied to them when I wasn't lying. Everything fell apart. David passed away. He was supposed to be my main character, one of my main characters. And then after, it just snowballed after that. And I just was like, well, I can't make this until I figure out how to do it without him. And I can't make it until I got this money. So I'm just going to make this project, and I raised money for that project and then did that one. And I haven't been able to release that one yet because things have not worked with distributors or anything else. So this year, I'm finally going to release Psychotic State, and I'm going to do it on my own so that people can see it, because I absolutely love it, because it opens up with a short film and you see this kid being bullied in World Paranormal Investigations. I love them so much. John and B. Brugge, they are amazing. They got their entire paranormal crew to get with them. They made a short film where it showcased the kid being bullied, and then you see him like he goes upstairs and he's getting ready to take a bunch of pills and commit suicide. So it showcases one thing that happens from bullying, which is suicide. And then after the short film, all the statistics at the time of when it was made, they go through the whole paranormal group, and you get to hear all of that. So it's like making a big smack in the face, an awareness for why bullying needs to be. But it's kind of a thing too that showcase to bullies what they actually do to people that they don't even realize they do, right?
Yeah.
Because how it is. So then there's public service announcements from a bunch of celebrities, and that's how I got all these celebrities attached to it, because I got over 14 names attached, right? So I got people like Jake the Snake Roberts. I got J.J. Dillon, who was the manager of the Four Horsemen. I got David Naughton from the American Werewolf in London. I was able to get, a slew of people. R.A. Mihailoff, who was Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. P.J. Souls from Halloween. I got all these people, and they did these little videos talking about why bullying's not good, right? And so the beginning, you got that short film, then you got public service announcements, then you get the movie, where the movie itself showcases David Coleman, who is Josie's brother. So what people didn't realize when I made Psychotic State was I was making the story for Josie's brother, David, because David is in Josie. So I introduced David to everybody, and there's even a mention of Josie in dialogue throughout in a couple places in Psychotic State, right? And I did that so when I make Josie, David is already known, right? So So anyway, David, he's a different type of character. He's been adopted. His parents didn't want him. He was in foster care. He's been beaten, abused, bullied by everybody. And then his mother dies of cancer. And then his dad starts to beat him. His foster father, who had never beat him, starts to blame him for his foster mother dying, and he starts beating him.
Oh.
And so he's at his lowest point now because he's lost everything that he finally had was good. So he snaps. And when he snaps, he actually becomes a methodical serial killer going after all of his bullies over time.
Oh.
Which is something else that has happened in life because of bullying.
Yeah.
Right? AKA some of the school shootings and stuff. Right?
Yeah.
Have happened as a side effect from bullying. Like a lot of people want to talk about gun control and all this other stuff, but a lot of the school shootings that have happened because somebody was being bullied. Nobody cared to do anything. They felt they weren't ever going to be safe, so they decided to take things into their own hands. Right? So the movie aspect showcases that side of things when you get pushed beyond the edge, right? But you still see David as a great guy. Like he still has the heart that he had. You just see that he's went too far. So you see him doing things even after he snaps, treating people good that haven't done anything wrong to him, right?
Right.
And you see that great heart that he had. But you also see what's going on because of what has happened to him. And it's
Right.
kind of, so then at the end of everything, you get more public service announcements from more celebrities to finish the movie out. And those start with me because I make sure to let everybody know because I actually played the character of David for the movie because I wanted the emotion of how hurt David was to come through by
Right.
what's went on with him. And I went through it all. So I relived all of my pain and got it out of my system. Right.
Mm.
But I took and I have that and what we ended up, so I was like, look, I'm the character. I made the movie. I'm going to do the first PSA when the movie ends because I want to let everybody know I don't condone what his character did. I'm just
Right.
showing you what can happen as a result. And bullies don't realize how far they could push somebody. And then I also state in it that everybody also needs to remember something. And it's one major thing that everybody forgets when they're dealing with people that are being bullies. They're being bullied too. That's why they're the way they are.
Oh, yeah.
Whether, whether it's they go home and they have an abusive father, so they take out that on somebody weaker than them, or whether they have somebody who lives on their street that's older than them and they're bullying them, and then they go with the kids their age and they're like, well, I'm older than this one, and since he's doing me this way, well, I'm gonna do them that way, right?
Yeah, you're
So I make sure to put in that, like, hey, look, you got to remember this. All right, you got to remember bullies are being bullied too. We just don't know about it. We don't see it. We don't understand what they go through. So, literally, whenever somebody's being mean to you and bullying you, they're either going to beat on you or they're going to stop if you continue just to show them love. Who cares, man? Like if they come up and they're like, "Give me all your money." Well, hey, man, if you need it more than me, here you go. You can have it. They might beat you the first time you do that, but the more that you do it, you're going to probably end up making a friend. And why hold what happened against them? Because eventually you're going to find out what's wrong with them and what has been going on, and then you can forgive them for how they did you. And that's where this world needs to go to, man. Like, we need to stop hammering in on each other and not thinking about what the other person's dealing with, or what they might be going through worse than what we are, and stuff like that. So for me, if I can get psychotic state out and it can kind of start that conversation, and it can kind of click in a bully's mind,
Mm.
like, hey, I'm their life is probably already miserable and I'm making it worse, right? Maybe we
Yeah.
maybe we can see some stuff start to subside when it comes to how bad some kids are treating others. But that really's got to start with parents, though, because parents who raise their kids a certain way make them that way, and they need to realize you can't raise kids to hate people because of color, creed, or how they are in life. You just got to raise them to love everybody, respect their opinions. You don't have to like their opinions, but at least respect them, because that's their life. It's not yours. It's not going to affect your life any, right? And if we can get to a point where parents are raising their kids that way, then we're going to see a lot change in this world. And I'm just hoping that I can help be a voice that gets out and maybe help some of that happen with somebody, even if
Yeah.
it's just one person,
Yeah.
you
You
know.
know, last week or last Friday, we had a special show with this little girl named Faith Santiago. She's 11. You would love her. Like, she was, I don't know, she's like this really special little girl. But she talked about bullying. She talked about how kids should not be bullying each other. You know, and she was bullied, and just different things. Like, I'm going to start making some clips of what she said. I haven't had a chance to do it yet, but I was going to talk. I was going to show some of the ones about bullying, and it was nice though to see an amazing 11-year-old girl that is saying the same thing you're saying basically, but in her language, in her way.
Yeah.
And
So
so it's very important.
yeah, it is. And that's like with my 10-year-old, right? And this showcases that it's the parents' fault. Kids don't know the difference between cost of what this is and how much that costs, or this, that, and the other when they're young. They have no clue. They ain't got a. All they know is, hey, mom and dad bought me this and I'm wearing it, right?
Yeah.
But if mom and dad says, all right, I'll give you an example. My son came home and he said, hey, look, I'm getting, he pretty much was like, I'm getting made fun of because my shoes look like Air Force Ones, but they're not Air Force Ones. So everybody's making fun of me saying I'm wearing knockoff Air Force Ones, and I'm broke because I can't afford Air Force Ones. And I'm like, the only way kids can even know to talk like that is what they're learning,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And a lot of it is what we have on TV. A lot of it is what we have here and there. A lot of it is parents don't actually raise their kids. They let their kids be raised by technology just
Hmm.
because they don't have to deal with them. So they let them sit in front of the TV or
uh,
the internet, or, whatever. And so they're
okay.
seeing, yeah, they're seeing all of this stuff, and nobody's realizing, hey, look, here we go. You're making your kids this way. So now they're going to school and they're making fun of kids just because they think it's the right thing to do, because they've seen it all through this, and it's funny there because the way they make it, but it's not really funny, you know?
Mm.
And so literally, my son's mom, like, well, I don't like that. Scroll through the phone, bought him a pair of Air Force Ones just to so he could go to school within a couple of days wearing them. Right? So there couldn't nobody say that. Then immediately when he went to school, the people that was making fun of him for not being able to have Air Force Ones walk over and step on his shoes to mess him up. It's like you were making fun of him for not being able to have them. Now you gonna mess him up because he's got them. It's like, you know what I'm
That's
saying?
rotten.
Yeah. So I mean, it doesn't make sense to deal with any of that stuff. So and that's the reason why parents got to really learn, man. You're the reason we're having the problems we're having around, not just in this country, but around the world. Right? The reason we're having problems between kids is because of how they're being raised, and it's your fault. If your kid is doing something to another kid and you ain't and you sitting back laughing at it because you think it's funny, well, guess what? You're the reason your kid's like that. It's your fault. Stop raising your kid like that, because
Yeah.
we'll never, we will never have peace where kids don't kill each other or commit suicide if it doesn't stop. And parents are the only ones that can stop that by raising their kids right.
And so what did you do? What did you say to him? Like I always think I watch Andy Griffith all the time, and I love that um I love that relationship, that how they communicate. What How did you communicate with your son about this? Because you could do several things. You could storm down to the school. Your son could get embarrassed. I mean, it's really tricky. What did you tell him?
Well, this is what I told him. I said, so it messed your shoes up, huh? Goes to show it don't matter how much you spend on your shoes. Because the minute you spend too much on them, somebody's going to mess them up. So why waste your money and care what other people think when you could just get you a pair of shoes, save the money, and use it for something else? Like they wanted to make fun of him because he didn't have Air Force Ones, but none of them know that his dad makes sure to spend money every time he gets a chance to take him to conventions where he's meeting celebrities and professional wrestlers and getting their autographs and taking pictures with them and becoming friends with them. Right? None of them know that he's living a lifestyle that they wish they could live,
Mm,
because I don't spend my money on things that are going to go
yeah,
bad. Clothes, shoes, you got to constantly replace those. There's no reason to spend a crap ton of money on that stuff. The only reason you need to spend money on that is if you're trying to look successful. You spend a little money so you can look successful when you go where you're going. After that point, guess what you do? You don't worry about the rest of it. Why? Because you could spend that money on other stuff. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
And I told my son, I was like, so none of them have got to meet the people you've met. So why does it matter what they think about your shoes? Because none of them are going to meet the voice actors for their favorite animes, or none of them are going to meet their favorite professional wrestlers. You have, and you continue to. So guess what? You're living a better life than them. All they're living is, I got $200 shoes. So what? And when I did that, he laughed and it was over with. He didn't feel bad no more. So it is what it
Good,
is. It is what
good,
it is.
good. I mean, it's like I remember not just wanting to get out of school so I could just not have to deal with that kind of stuff back in school too. It's just I think it's always been that way, but you know,
But
it,
dealing with
I,
it gives you character.
yeah,
That's all it is. It makes you who you're going to be. Either you're going to get a whole lot stronger. Like I literally think the only reason I'm still making movies is because I got such a thick skin from being bullied so much, to where when people are talking smack about me, I don't care. Like
right.
literally, I don't care. You can hate me all you want to. My my favorite saying in life is, "Hey, look, I accept haters daily, because all my haters eventually start either to like me or leave me alone, and I need haters to continue to talk about me so that my name keeps being out there so that I stay relevant."
Right, Right. Well, I want to say we've got Overbuilt Automotive. Hi, and he's actually I'm the on Warrior Mode every Friday with Bill Bean, and I'm the moderator. And Bill Bean is part that helped us. So Overbuilt is watching us, and then I believe we had a guy. I think it was Richard Thompson. So you might want to. I can't remember that name is correct or not. I'm kind of like dyslexic. I put words backwards. But so yeah, somebody else had said hi to us. So that's really cool. I'm glad that people are watching and actually talking to us. That's pretty cool, huh, Derek?
Hey, I'm gonna tell you what, y'all talk all you want to. I want to see stuff flying across here left and right. If you got any questions you want to ask me
Yeah.
yourself or anything else, just throw them out there.
Let's see what I say. Kids riding ATVs or dirt bikes, old
Boom.
ones or cheap ones to get and to fix you at the videos if you needed just some time to get less public school. LO. Well, I'm not quite sure what that means, but I think he's meaning like you can ride the old
I
stuff
got
just as good as the new stuff.
I know exactly what they mean. Overbuilt automotive, you're 100% right. We the one of the big things that are problems in our world right now is fathers not being with their kids. Father sometime helps everything in the world. Public school is programming for you to work. That's all it is. That's why it's 8 hours a day. You raise your hands to go to the bathroom. You got to do the same thing at work. All they're doing is trying to get you ready to go out and be a worker. That's it. They don't care how smart you are anymore. They just want you to be a worker. So less public school is right on that. And then on top of that, riding ATVs and everything means get kids outside.
Yeah,
Quit leaving them indoors.
yeah. So
They
my
got to get some of
youngest
that energy out.
Right. My youngest son was homeschooled, I think, from the time he was 10 on. He's 24 now. So, um, but yeah, it was a great thing. I think he's really intelligent. He just loves to learn. And so we got to all spend time with him, we got to have him out and be with us. So I love homeschool. I think it's
So,
better.
so we got 12 minutes.
Ah!
This whole show's went away. We were supposed to start with Toxic Avenger and Tutu, and we've went way off spectrum here. That's another thing with me. Don't get me started on
Yeah.
conversation because conversation will go somewhere, but we don't know where it's going. So, but since we got a couple minutes left, let's go back to Toxic Tutu.
Yeah.
Toxic Tutu is actually on Amazon Prime, and I think it might be on Tubi too. But anyway, so people out there, you can watch Toxic Tutu. It is a fun, crazy film. Um, Mark Torgel, he was Melvin the Mop Boy in the Toxic Avenger. He's an amazing friend of mine now. Thanks to that, and absolutely love him. He's um, the thing that he actually does now. He edits films for a living. So
Uh,
um, but he's gotten back into doing small acting gigs and doing things. But the whole thing was he disappeared. He finished film school and he disappeared from fans because he stopped acting and just started directing. He started editing movies for a living so that he could pay the
right.
bills because acting wasn't paying the bills. So he had disappeared from the fans, and then he got reached out to by a convention, and he called Joe Nardelli, who ended up making the movie, and he said, "Hey, this convention reached out to me. They said that fans would love to meet me. What do you think I should do?" And Joe's like, "Hey, this is an opportunity. Not only do we need to go, but let's make a movie about it." So then he
Good.
came up. So then he came up with the idea of, hey, he's coming back to his fans after 30 years, not to tell them I've been gone editing, but to tell them he's been gone because they used real toxic waste on the set of Toxic Avenger and came up with this whole storyline. So it's shot like a documentary mixed in with being shot, a lot of film style shots too. And it's a lot of fun because it's a crazy ride because he's trying to come out and tell his fans about what happened and people are trying to keep him from doing it and they know about it and they're trying to steal the toxic waste that he's got because he has to drink it in order to stay alive now. and all this other crazy stuff. Oh, he
That
said
sounds
he
like
could
fun.
fix. Okay. But anyway, so all of the so he's throwing out cheap ATV parts and stuff because it's easy to fix up so that people can have things to do. 'Cause that way everybody can have an ATV and stuff like that. But anyhow,
Yeah.
um, so the main aspect of it, right? Um, if you drink the toxic waste, you can either live forever and stay looking the exact same, or you drink it and you turn into shit and debris and die.
Oh,
And a lot of people are willing to risk it to live forever. So we see
yeah.
this whole battle between people trying to have it throughout it. And it was crazy because Joe made sure he wanted to put himself at the end of it drinking the toxic waste. And then all of a sudden, after filming that scene, he started getting sick. And now, mind you, it's not real toxic waste. Okay, it was something we made up for a drink that could be drinkable by everybody on set. It was just an idea we came up with. But he did that for the movie, and then he's finishing editing, and he's getting trying to finish editing, and he's getting sick, and he didn't know why. And he went to the doctor and found out he had a rare blood cancer. So he started doing the stuff to try and get better. He got into remission. He finished the film, and then he had the big premiere where he ended up doing a reunion and bringing the entire main cast of Toxic Avenger together for the screening, and he had them all in the movie. So he had them all come together for the screening and everything else, and then 3 weeks after the screening, the blood cancer came back, and it was not even 2 months after the screening he passed away. Um,
Oh.
crazy thing is, a lot of people believe that we were just playing up him drinking the debris and that he's not really dead.
Oh.
Um, they, I really
Yeah.
miss my friend. That's all I can say. I really miss him.
I'm
But
so glad he could do that when y'all could do that.
yeah,
Get
but
that all.
Toxic Tutu, Worldwide Multimedia put it out for us. They're a great company. They put out all of my movies so far, and they've put out a lot of movies that I just had a hand in and helped out, and I sent the filmmakers to them. So they got a massive catalog of films that I've had something to do with,
Yeah.
but you know. They're a great company, and they put Toxic Tutu out, and um, you know, being able to tell this story to Toxic Avenger fans 30 years after the fact is kind of fun. So, and
Yeah.
we had some great people in it. We had Johnny Fairplay from Survivor. We had Jake the Snake Roberts. We were able to get the Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant. With wrestling fans would know who they are. And then we had Mel Novak, who's one of the most prolific kung fu artists in the business. He's fought everybody from Bruce Lee to Chuck Norris, and he's been in
Wow.
a lot of films as one of the villains. So he's been able to bring to life a villain getting his butt kicked by some of the people's favorite martial artists. Um, we got to make a film where we brought those people together, and we had Kadrosha Ona got to be a part of it. Mike Halleck, who was Mantar in the WWE, which funny enough, Mantar was considered the worst gimmick in WWE history. And I ended up getting the person that's supposed to have been the worst gimmick in WWE history to be in the sequel to the worst film ever made. Which is hilarious because when you think about it, right? How does
But
that
people love
work?
your film though. though. They love it. It's not really the worst film. It became a cult classic, didn't it? I mean,
Well,
like
well,
it's a,
see, that's the whole thing. Plan 9 from Outer Space had the title "Worst Film Ever Made." So
oh, that's
bad, it's good, and it was in 1959. And filmmakers from around the world have been trying for years to take that title. The thing they were forgetting when they were trying to do that is they were literally just making a movie and screwing up stuff on purpose.
look at
Overbuilt.
that.
All right, well, you better make sure your mama sees Toxic Tutu then, because she gonna love it. You can get the DVD too if you want to get her the DVD of Toxic Tutu, because she's probably older and doesn't stream. Get her that, and she'll have the complete collection of everything.
Oh
Um,
my God, that's awesome, Overbill
Oh
Automotive.
well, look at here, Peter Jackson's second film. That it's funny that you put that. See, now we're gonna have to do a whole nother show because I'm getting ready to go off
I
of what
just
I
think
was
you're
saying. Go
great.
to this. So I want to
Yeah.
go to him talking about Toxic. Oh, she does stream. Well, tell her it's on Amazon Prime. But if she's got the box set, she won't want that physical DVD of Toxic Tutu. Trust me. Um, because if streaming screws up, if the internet goes down, she can still pop it in and watch it, baby. So anyway, so as far as him putting Peter Jackson, that is hilarious because Peter Jackson, his first film he made was Bad Taste. And he made that movie completely out of his mother's kitchen. And it was well beyond its years because he built a little miniature and he had this thing where he made the miniature look like he was actually filming through the real town. And like he made this house look like it turned into a spaceship and flew into space. And this was in the 80s. Like he literally made the house look like it brought the grass in that was sitting on and brought it in, and it was a spaceship the whole time. But
Wow.
in that movie, he has the Peter Jackson's in it, and he plays this character Derek, and he does all these comical things throughout the whole movie. But he says the best line for me in a movie in history, and he says, "I'm a Derek. Derek's never run." Right? So I'm saying that for a reason because he mentioned Peter Jackson, and I'm bringing that up. Yes, Bad Taste was nuts. I absolutely love the fact that he says, "Man, me and this dude's got a lot in common." So here's the thing, right? In the Wright family, I have a character, and I went ahead and told him, like, look, I'm going to name you Derek because there's a scene I want to do, right? And it's going to pay homage to Peter Jackson in Bad Taste. So,
Oh,
so what I did was see Derek. I gave him Derek because it's giving him my name in the movie, right? So I thought that was cool. I wanted to make this character. I wanted to give him my name. There, right? And then I wanted the lines to be said in a kill scene. So literally, the main character loves hunting people, right?
yeah.
But when he kills Derek, he kills him in a quick fashion because he knows that he literally kills him real fast. And then his whole dialogue setup right there, he sits there and says, "Yes, I have seen Black Sheep." Anyway, so the whole setup is he sits there and he says, "I love to hunt. But I know from my favorite Peter Jackson film, Bad Taste, Derek's never run. So your death had to be quick." So
That's funny.
that
So
was,
you added that in there.
yeah, I added that in there as my little homage to Bad Taste because that was one of the movies that made me realize if he could make this out of his kitchen, I could make movies.
Heck yeah, you
So,
can.
that's
That's
one of the
great.
him, Peter Jackson, Quentin Tarantino, and Lloyd Kaufman are the reason I became a filmmaker. Right. And literally, if you watch when I make movies, I kind of mesh all three of them together, and that's how I make a film. Oh, and Kevin Smith, you know, those are my four influences as a filmmaker. So I literally wrap all of that together when I make a movie, and that's what you see on the screen, which is
You're awesome.
which is a chaotic mess sometimes. But hey,
Yeah, I mean,
we
I
need
would
it in
imagine.
life.
Well, I think any Quentin Tarantino film you already know, like that's like So yeah, so
Well,
I'm sure the other
well,
ones put them all together.
if we can take and go over just a couple minutes,
Okay, we'll just
the
because I don't want them. I don't want our producer. I know it's late over there.
okay, producer, give me just a couple minutes. I just want to mention this, right?
One couple more minutes.
But dude, if you thought about making a film, make it. Don't just think about it, do it. But anyway, so Family Property 2, More Blood is the sequel. Now, the funniest part is I'm sitting back and I'm like sitting here looking at it, and I went into a deep depression. And I got to looking at the footage when I came out of it and realized I hadn't finished filming the movie. I still had scenes that should be shot, but
Oh,
I can't do it now because everybody's changed or they don't talk to me or whatever, right? So I gave the movie to Michelle Lynn Blasky, who, by the way, made a fan film that you can go check out. If you were a fan of Halloween 3, then you should go check out her fan film. But it, I'm trying to remember what the name of it is right now. I'm drawing because I got my mind in a million places. But it, I gave it to her, and when I gave it to her, she sat down and oh yeah, it's called The Third Channel. That's her fan film. So you can actually go see that on YouTube. She completely made a kind of like a sequel to Halloween 3, and she went and filmed at the actual original filming locations. So
wow.
that, but anyway, so she made. I gave her the movie and was like, "Hey, look, there's stuff missing. Family Property was a grindhouse movie. This is going to be too. Here's what I have. Edit this for me, please." And she gave me back a movie that can take the title of worst film ever made from Family Property, which is hilarious because I would end up taking the title of that from myself. But the thing that I was talking about, so that I can say it before we go, so that people get what I was trying to say before I went off on another tangent, was Plant 9 from Outer Space had that. And what the filmmakers didn't realize is they were trying too hard to be bad. And they were trying so hard to be bad, they didn't make an entertaining movie. They just made a crappy movie. Right? I didn't try to do that. I literally was like, I'm going to make a movie. I had a friend who he wanted to be a filmmaker, and he was like, he handed me 3 different scripts. I typed them up for him. I casted them, and he would cancel because he didn't think he could pull it off, and he didn't have enough, in him to push for it. And I already had the locations and everything. So we canceled 2 times. The third time he told me to cancel, I was like, I got somebody from Cabin Fever 2. I got Jeremy Ambler here. I've got all these different people, and Jeremy Ambler had just been an extra in a few things, but he ended up becoming one of the most prolific walkers in The Walking Dead. So
Okay.
I thought it was kind of funny that I killed him in the movie, then he became a walker. So I take claim for him being a dead man. Anyway, so I sat back when I made that, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make a movie to show my buddy that if I can do it with no knowledge on how to do it, I know he can do it. to try and help him get this, but he took it the wrong way. He got upset because I made one before him. He thought that I was just trying to take over what he was wanting to do and leave him behind and all this other stuff. So we ended up losing our friendship.
Oh man.
Which still breaks my heart to this day. Because
Yeah.
I absolutely loved him. Right, and I still do. All right.
Maybe he'll hear this.
And the only reason I ever made a movie to begin with was to try and get him to see he could do it. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be making movies, you know?
Aww.
So, but anyway, so I'm like, I'm not canceling nothing. I'm going to make this movie. I borrowed $100 camera. I had a crappy microphone. I didn't have any idea on what I was doing. I was making up how to do special effects from watching YouTube videos, and I kept special effects minimal because I wanted to give it the kind of Alfred Hitchcock style, because I also like to use that because I love Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I wanted to give it that kind of style because I didn't know how to do effects and I didn't have money for effects. So I made the entire movie for $300 out of my pocket. Got done with the movie, and then I got to watching it, and I seen, well, there's video flaw here. There's a video flaw there. The microphone's in the shot here. This is here. Every shot I did on this tape, on this scene, I got the tripod in the background, you know, and I'm seeing all these different things, and I'm like, well, it was never going to be a masterpiece. It's my first movie. Who cares? I'm going to leave this crap in and see how many things people can notice, because there's literally a website out there that counts all the screw ups in movies. Right. So I was like, I'm gonna leave them on purpose so that they're not actually screw ups, because it was my decision to do it. Right. And by doing that, and by taking myself serious and not trying to make a bad movie, but trying to make a good movie, then realizing what I had afterwards and deciding, hey, I'm just going to edit this however when I edit. And by the way, I had to teach myself how to edit for that too, because I had no clue what I was doing. And I used QuickTime, and I actually used Windows Movie Maker to edit that movie. So I didn't have any editing software. I didn't have nothing. And that's kind of what made it get the title Worst Film Ever Made. I wasn't trying. It just happened, right? And when you watch it, some people can't stand it, but some people, it's fun to watch. It depends on what you like, right?
Yeah.
But for most people, they're like, it's like a train wreck. I can't stand it, but I don't want to look away. And before you know it, the movie's over with, and you're like, it ended too quick. I wanted some more, you know? And when that happens, it's so bad, it's good, because you want more, even though it was a bad movie, right?
Well,
So,
and that's how you kind of just built yourself on that movie then.
Somewhat. Like my friend George Richardson, though, he's like, man, we need to get you away from that. I'm tired of you doing this grindhouse so bad it's good stuff. We need to do something with quality. We need to show them you've grown as a filmmaker. I'm like, but literally that got me compared to Tarantino. Why would I want to change that? Right? It's like, I don't want to change that. So when we were doing Family Property 2, More Blood, it's funny how it got the tagline, but while we were on set, I got compared to Tarantino by the cast, because I wanted Family Property was a movie that I was making as a starter for kids so that parents could let their kids watch their first horror film. So there's very little gore, there's very little blood, there's not much cussing, and there's no nudity and no sex scenes, right? Left all that out. Boom. Horror film made in a way that people don't make horror films normally, right? So kids love the movie because they can watch it. And when you're a kid, things are scarier to you than they are to adults.
Right. I'm gonna
So,
watch this too. I'm gonna take the time and watch that. And
so,
I don't mean to cut you off,
but
but
anyway, the last
I
thing I was going to say was Family
okay.
Property 2 More Blood. We were on set, and I got compared to Tarantino's style of directing because every time I turned around, I was yelling for the special effects artist, and he was like, "What do you want?" And I said, "I need more blood. It's not enough blood. I need more blood. I want this to be bloodier than the first one. I need more blood." So he came on set one day, and he's like, "Hey, that's what you need to do. There's a semicolon with backwoods killing spree at the end of Family Property for the first one. Put a semicolon, and at the end of it, more blood because all you keep yelling on set is more blood." So that's how we got the title for the film. And then they
Oh,
and then the cast looked at me and said, "You know somebody else that yells for more blood all the time because all they want is blood, 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 blood in their movies? It's like being on a friggin' Tarantino set." And I was like, "Yes, my third time getting compared to Tarantino. I love it." So
very
anyway,
good.
by the way, to the producer, so sorry. Love you, brother.
Well, will you come back maybe in June? Like we can have you back again.
Sure, 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 sure.
Yeah, we can
I,
talk
I have
some more.
I have no problem with coming back, and if your fans want me to come back, tell them to start looking into me, and they can get some questions to pop up on the screen so they can
Yeah.
ask me.
Well, looks like you got
Um,
a fan here for sure right now. He's a
well,
great one.
yeah,
Thank you
well,
so much, Overbuilt, too. You're awesome for coming in. And whoever's going to see this today, tomorrow, of the future, we thank you. Please look up Derek Young, watch his movies, look him up. He's so great. Just go
all right.
back and listen to our
So,
last interview. So great.
I'll, the only thing people have to do to be able to find me on find all the movies I've been a part of is Google director Derek Young. And it's Derek. Google that, and my IMDb page comes up immediately because
It does.
I'm the most searched Derek Young on IMDb. So, um,
There's a lot of Derek Youngs out there, too, but yours is the top one.
yeah. So just look that up, and you can see all the movies I've been a part of. Um, and then if you want to find me on TikTok before they get rid of it, you just got to look up Wolf Man, but spell man with two N's instead of one, and then put VA at the back of it, and you'll find me on TikTok and
You'll find
um,
him.
Instagram and all that good stuff. So,
Thank you, Derek Young. You're so awesome and you're so kind. I like you. You're great. You have heart.
I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
All right, good night, everybody. Thank you so much for watching the Mercedes Lucky Benedict show. We thank our producers. I've got another great show next Tuesday that you will absolutely love. It's the Fox family. It's the two paranormal duo that they're a husband and wife team. They're so great, Derek. Um, uh, it's Destiny and Michael Fox. And good night. God bless you too, Overbuilt Automotive. And so it's going to be a really great show next week talking to them. So anyway, thank you so much. And thank you, Derek. Good
Thank
night.
you so much. And thank you to the producer. Love you, bro. You have a good one.